Hey traders, Cousin Vinny coming to you on November 16th, Sunday, from theclosingprint.com. What we'll be looking at this week is the continuation in NYSE and tick cumulative. For the time being, we appear to continue to be bullish with sector rotation and the indices continuing to trade sideways. What we're looking at are XLE, XLK, and XLY, and setups and select industry groups within the sectors that continue. 2 weeks ago, we saw the biotech sector rotate in for about a 3 to 4 day swing trade on most names. And then we saw the aluminum sector rotate in, as well as hardware and semis midweek. And then on Thursday, we saw the media group rotate in. Now, all of the sectors still continue to perform, but it seems to be a rotation through those names. So we'll be watching for those going into the week. Looking at the world indexes since 2009, we went over to dshort.com, where Mr. Ritholtz continues to track the indices shown. So the Sensex index is up 243%. We can see that, the darker brown line, the S&P 500, and so forth. Nikkei lately has been catching some traction, and we'll look at those indices in more detail as they outperform the S&P 500, which is moving sideways as we know. So the Bank of Japan continues to ease the yen, and we are at lows we haven't seen in 7 to 10 years on the yen, which had a comparatively bullish effect on the Nikkei over the last several weeks since the Bank of Japan made that announcement. If we look at the yen, we can see that we continue to move lower, which is creating a bullish effect both on the Nikkei as well as other indices, including the S&P 500. We have been moving sideways for the last couple of weeks, but we continue to see rotation within industry groups in select sectors, as we pointed out earlier. Looking at our indicators, NYSE, the NIMO summation of values, the summation index, we can see that we're starting to change slope and may get a crossover to the downside. It's not a guarantee in the next few days. So we'll continue to watch that as the S&P 500 is at all-time highs at this extended trend line, and with the New York Stock Exchange advanced decline showing some indication of froth and possibly a move off of the highs that we saw back in September. Tick cumulative continues to give us reason to be bullish as institutions continue to buy. This indicator is moving higher. Remember, this is a real-time indicator during the day as the tick continues to accumulate above average plus 600, plus 800, plus 1000 tick levels. This indicator will continue to move higher as compared to negative tick values of minus 600, minus 800, minus 1000. So this is occurring as we are at this upper trend line and Bollinger Band starting to contract. So we know that volatility is starting to taper off and we're in a sideways choppy range. Comparatively speaking, the Nasdaq Composite outperformed the S&P 500 and the Russell last week. As we can see, we continue to move higher off of this broadening pattern near all-time highs that we put in the week previous at 4,703. Slow stow is in overbought territory. We could turn down, or we can continue to stay embedded here with MACD above its signal line. The number of stocks trading above their 50-period moving average continues to be in overbought territory, and that could turn down, but there's no guarantee that that will happen. We could conceivably see continued moves sideways while the slow stow diverges and moves lower and gets oversold and start to turn back up. That's entirely possible scenario where we could flag higher. We could continue to flag sideways on all of the indices. Note the Russell, we are moving sideways. Friday we had a little bit lower. We earned a spinning top there. We're at previous highs that we saw in late August, early September. So we're at that same level. We are turning lower on MACD, and slow stow could get oversold very quickly, and we could see a bounce off to, say, the 20-period moving average, the center line of the Bollinger Bands. Zooming out to a weekly chart of the Russell, we note that we're in a descending channel pattern. We didn't push through this level on Friday, so that confirmed this channel. Temporarily, we also see slow stow is overbought and could turn lower this week. Note MACD is continuing to move higher. It's back above its signal line, the lighter of the two. So Russell is at a decision point this week. We'll continue to watch this almost 1 year topping pattern that we've been putting in. Whether we break higher or we continue lower off this pattern, we don't know. We are watching the moving averages here as well. Moving back to a view of the S&P 500 weekly chart, in this ascending channel that we've been pointing out the past few weeks, note slow stow is in overbought territory and could turn down. As we continue to move sideways, the 10-period moving average, the 10-period EMA continues to move higher and prices are above it. We could see a move higher, we could move sideways as the second scenario, or we could move lower as a third scenario that we pointed out previously. However, for the time being, we are watching sectors rotate in and industry groups perform, and we're trading accordingly. If the indices continue to move sideways to slightly up, that bodes well for our current trading strategy, which is to trade those sectors as they set up. Energy lately has been the outperformer, where they had underperformed for many weeks and currently have turned and started moving to the upside. If we look at the sector group, we can see that percentage change, coal has outperformed, followed by exploration and production and pipelines. We'll look at coal as we did with biotech, aluminum, hardware and semis, and lately media. Over the course of a week to 6 trading days, we continue to see strength in each of those sectors. I'll give you an example here with regard to WLT. We see a chart that made a bottom in October. We're flagging out now right above this Kirby or volume by price level as support just below prices. This one really got decimated over the last year, and we could see a breakout above this flag into this Kirby pocket at a level around $5.30 for a trade to the upside on Walter Energy. Looking at some of the other names in this group of significance, we looked at CNX, very similar flag just below the 200-period moving average. We have this volume by price bars to deal with, but slow stow is turning back up, which is significant in our trading style. We like to see slow stow oversold and turning, MACD above its signal line, the lighter of the two, and prices above the 10-period EMA, the blue line. We also like to see Bollinger Bands more narrow. That's not the case just yet, but with the lower Bollinger Band turning up, that's usually an indication when the upper Bollinger Band is continuing to move higher that we could see a grind upward. Now with slow stow turning back up, we could see a little punch through the 200-period moving average. So those are the kind of things we're watching for in trades setting up within industry groups in sectors that are starting to perform. Reflecting on D Short's Mr. Barry Ritholtz's major world indexes, we again note that BSE and the Nikkei are outperforming as of late, and we look to those separate sectors. The Bombay Stock Exchange, note that they're flagging out here, and slow stow is starting to turn back up. So you could be looking at some India stocks that trade on this index as well for setups going into the week. We also can keep an eye on the Nikkei as we pointed out previously, continues to move higher with slow stow in overbought territory. This may move back down, or it could embed short term. So keep that in mind going into the week ahead. In addition to the indices and the major stock exchanges throughout the world, we want to keep an eye on the carry trade as a reflection of same. We can consult DBV, the Currency Harvest Fund, Deutsche Bank, Power Shares. What you want to look for is a continuation move higher, which would be bullish for equities, and a move lower if you're bearish equities. Note that we had a spinning top on Friday. We're right at resistance here. This volume by price bar, but note that most of this bar is green and about 10% of it to 15% is red. So we're looking at this as potential resistance short term and possibly a break above this trend line going into the weeks ahead. Now, if that latter scenario occurs, that would be bullish for equities going forward. Note slow stow and MACD are in overbought territory, so we could see a consolidation under this trend line and a move higher going into the months ahead, Christmas, and into the more bullish part of the year. Or we could see a flag and a move lower, which would be bearish for equities. So just keep that in mind to consult your carry trade, which is a reflection of the US dollar versus the yen, and countries where currencies are at a discount to the US dollar. And with the dollar continuing to move sideways above its 10-period moving average and this previous breakout level, slow stow is gradually getting down to oversold territory and could bounce here at the 50 region. So we're noting that Bollinger Bands are starting to contract, which you would expect with prices continuing to move sideways. Continue to watch the dollar, the yen, and the carry trade, DBV, Deutsche Bank Currency Harvest Fund. Okay, so this is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com. For new traders, there are a lot of videos here that'll help you with your trading setups and your strategies. And also check out the blog, which you can check here by just clicking the link. Or if you want to go directly to the blog, you can just enter the address. Note this is case sensitive because it's a Linux server, and that'll bring you right to theclosingprint.com's blog site, where we weekly post trade setups. This weekend we talked about the 401k review. You can check here on any of the posts that we send out on a daily basis. You can also check the post here. Just input your email address here and click submit, become a subscriber, and get these emailed to you on a daily basis. Like we were saying, previous to the weekend, we were talking about the media and broadcasting group. Prior to that, we were looking at computer hardware and semis on November the 12th. And then again, aluminum prior to that, and biotech, and why you should watch industry groups at the current point in time with this indices continuing to move sideways. Okay, we'll post some setups and trades going into the week using the mindset of industry groups continuing to rotate in. Again, this is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com. We hope this helps. Take care, and we'll see you on the stream on Monday.